Welcome back. This is your average esports podcast, episode 23. And with me again is Skim, who has turned from guest to basically just another host. If you think about it,
Yeah.
all good. So basically, nothing's changed with this show. Even got the same overlay and stuff. So we'll get right into it. So first, I'll go over. There were two big tournaments over the last week. One of them was in Dota 2. IEM Katowice. The other one was in CS:GO. What was it? IEM Starladder, iLeague Star Series, something something.
That was a Starladder I series. The Starladder I League Star Series
Okay.
season 4.
Yeah, that's in Kiev basically. And since I know Skim was at IEM Katowice, there's a very unlikely chance he'll have seen a lot of these games, or most of these games, or even maybe all of these games, right? So in that case,
Tried to watch a couple.
yeah, in that case, we'll start here, just because there's less common ground. You can just straight up ask me. So I'll give a brief summary of basically what happened. I'll give you the quick highlights. Cloud9 got taken the fuck out. Basically, lost to SK, lost to FaZe, lost to Mouse. None of them bad teams, but you'd expect more from a major winning team. Gambit is fucking in hell. Virtus Pro is in fucking hell. Fnatic is in fucking hell. Beyond that, beyond the group stages, Mouse makes it to the finals, beating G2 and Liquid. Liquid beat SK, which is great because Liquid keep beating SK. So it's a really bad matchup for SK right now.
That's a really bad matchup.
Navi had this weapon, it's known as Simple, and they made it to the finals, beating Astralis and FaZe. FaZe once again underwhelmed, and then Mouse takes it all. Right. So now that I've summarized it, you can ask any of the questions or anything else you have.
So what the hell is up with G2 and goddamn playoffs? Like, do they just not like winning? Do they need Do they need whatever coach Astralis had for their major? Like whatever. I don't know. This is how do they? All right. It should be noted that this is group stage, and sometimes you do draw like easy opponents, especially in best of ones.
Mm-hmm.
But this is best of 3 groups. Swiss.
Yeah.
They beat Astralis and Mouseboards.
Yeah, good teams.
Which isn't easy, right?
Yeah.
Those are good teams. So they beat both of them in the group stage. And then in the playoffs, granted, I do think the draw against Mousesports is a little bit bullshit, because how do you draw Mousesports again after you just beat them to get to the playoffs? But damn, G2 does not show up in playoffs at all.
Yeah, so I actually wrote this entire thing. I forget what it was called, but it was basically like it's supposed to be a blog, but it ended up being like 1,000 words. But the entire problem I have with G2, their recruitment policy is like, as far as I can tell, the reason they don't get existence is because they think existence is cursed, right? They think this guy is going to fuck up the major, and to be fair to them, ever since after the first one, he's been basically fucking it up. But to also be fair, so has every other French team since Happy stopped being good, right? And it's at this point where not only are they fucking up in the major, they're just straight up fucking up in playoffs. Like, it's very sad, because what this is telling me is they have apparently, like, the analyst desk always talks about how good Smiths is or NKJ is, and I'm gonna go ahead and say they might be good, but they're not good for this team. Like, I don't know why, but this team has always been the less than the sum of its parts. And so they're going to have to accept dictatorship back into their lives, I think, if they ever want to be number one. And if they don't want to accept that, then I think this is literally the ceiling of French CSGO as we know it.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. Like, this team is right now is just not working out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like such a waste to see these players not even like go past the quarterfinals event after event.
Mm-hmm.
This team should literally be a consistently good semi-finalist.
Yeah.
If you just look at it on paper.
Mm-hmm. Kenny S, best
Obviously,
offer. Shox, one of the greatest players of all time. NBK, Apex has actually been doing his job the entire time. To be fair, I'll give him that. Like Kenny S has dropped off. Shox has dropped off at points. Like, actually all of 2017, and then Kenny S has only dropped off recently, but you can maybe he'll come back soon. But like Apex has basically been doing his fucking job as an entry fragger the entire time.
Mhm.
MBK and Body, like they've been put in star positions, but neither of them can do what Shox does. So they're kind of fucked if Shox doesn't wake up, and Kenny S it doesn't wake up at the same time. Because this is like a
All right,
skill base. Like, all right, I'll explain it this way, right? In the old Titan lineup in 2014, 2015, actually I think it's 2015, they only had 3 win conditions. First one was Kenny S being a god. Second one was Existence's Tactics, which set up Kenny S, but they could do other stuff with it. And then sometimes they could get Apex to randomly win an entire like game just off of entry fags. This one has more win conditions, but they're all failing.
they really are.
Yeah,
That's
and they're all like skill based win conditions too. And to get like a tactical win based condition, you need a leader, basically.
what they don't have.
Yeah,
Dear Lord, this again. It just feels not really depressing, but it feels just so bad. You see these quality players, and they're just like, oh yeah, group stage, they're popping off. They're like playing everybody, and then in the playoffs, they're just, that picture that Thorne posted was hilarious with a kitten. Just
yeah, like a
so
fucking
harmless
lion in the
in the
group
playoffs.
stages, and then
Yeah.
kitten in the playoffs. Yeah, that's G2 in a
So
nutshell.
harmless. So harmless. All right, tell me about FaZe. What the hell's up with FaZe?
All right, so I actually thought FaZe was going to win this tournament after seeing the playoff bracket because it looks like it's an easy run, right?
Not only that, but then you also see SK, losing to Liquid. After that, I feel like this is almost like the easiest run for FaZe now.
Right.
Because
So
they're whatever you want to call it. They're Waterloos. That
yeah,
oh, no, it's not the Waterloo. Whatever.
I'll go ahead and say like there's something fucked up with Guardian, but not in terms of like overall play, just in terms of against Navi specifically, because they played Navi twice, once in the group stages and once here, and they win in the group stages. From what I remember, it was like 2-1, right? But if you go back and look at the games, or if you don't, basically Guardian was like really fucking off his game like by a terrible amount, and that basically showed up again in the semifinals. And the final and basically like it makes sense if you think about it just in terms of map pool. Like FaZe win Inferno, which is Navi's best map, so you would think FaZe would take it over by then. But Guardian is such an integral part of both Overpass and Train as an opper that it kind of just fucked him up. And
I wonder if maybe he's just feeling nervous to see.
like it's his old team. Like maybe he feels more about it, or maybe he just like feels off ever since the major. It's hard to say with him, right? And like even Guardians basically acknowledged like he really fucked it up. But to be fair to like Guardian, like that's only because we have like the highest of expectations of Guardian, because this is a guy who is basically battling for like the best of all time.
I mean, yeah, of course. If you see like what Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo in football, you do expect like at least a goal, maybe probably 2, and maybe like an assist or something, because that's just like their ceiling.
Yeah.
Or that's just their not that even the ceiling. That's just their level
Mm-hmm.
that they're operating at. So yeah, I totally get that. I know I've seen like a couple of the tweets and that even Guardian sent out towards Richard Lewis, for example. Like
Yeah.
I understand why everybody's so critical of him at this stage, because again, people do expect of him to be one of the best, if not the best player in the world, pretty much at all times.
Mm-hmm. And I've thought about this other bit. It doesn't apply to this series, but it just generally applies to FaZe. Is like when you compare like FaZe to a few of these other top teams. Like I'm actually mostly just thinking of SK. SK has a secondary caller in Coldzera, basically. Like Fallen actually lets Coldzera call in the overtime to really fuck up other teams, because by that point you don't know what's coming when Coldzera starts calling, because they have different styles and they have different thoughts about the game, at least a little bit. Whereas like FaZe, there's no true secondary in-game leader. You can say Nico, but if you look at Nico's time in Mousesports, it's literally just him playing around himself. And that's actually kind of sick if they try to do that, but I don't think they will. But I don't think it would work out that well. All right, so basically like he's like the entire brains of the operation, but he's also the only brains in the operation, if you get what my meaning. So it's kind of hard.
I get that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for him to do that, especially because he understands as a leader that he has to play this more loose style that lets his star players like give room to play, right? Because they're all so fucking sick. But if like one of them is, if like a few of them are having an off day at the same time, or Like for instance, like I don't think Nico was that great during this tournament. I think Rain was a bit off. Like the only consistent one right now is like Olaf Meister, strangely, and he's like
I
playing a
mean,
more supportive end, right? So
that's like, but that's like the whole like the there's always going to be an issue with this team, obviously, or at least the way you described it. As long as Kerrigan remains the sole caller, there's always going to be the issue of the team that you can just feel the fact that if one player is not having any impact or like almost zero or almost negative impact in a lot of ways, right?
mm-hmm.
That you can just really, really feel it. I mean, that's why at the major phase in that finals,
Fucked up.
it's almost incredible that they're still able to keep up that way because you know some of the players definitely did not show up there.
Yeah, Nico,
Nico, for example,
a
yeah.
huge
So
gap.
if that happens, a team that doesn't rely on strat but rather on individual skill is just always going to have issues, especially in a game like CS. Because if it's in Dota, for example, I mean we've seen it last year, for example, from EG when they were actually doing pretty well, but mostly just because one or two players were individually just popping off.
Yeah, like Sumail especially.
Being godlike. In Dota, it doesn't really matter that much because you can pull each other up. You can, if Sumail pops off, he could keep 5 heroes busy, and other people are able to recover.
Yeah.
But it's CS. If one person's off, you just lose a sight.
Yeah, all the time,
depending on the map.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm not sure if it was this event or it was the major, but there was this one game. I want to say actually, I'm not sure. It was this one game where their B-hole was so off because on Inferno because if one player just constantly dies, you just can't hold B anymore.
Oh, that was the major. That was like definitely Nico.
Yeah,
that was definitely Nico.
Yeah, it just when you see that, you just know, dear Lord, if your only answer to winning, or if you only not necessarily only win condition, but technically speaking, they have like what 4 win conditions because they have like 4 star players.
Yeah, you basically only need 2 out of the 4 really. For most of the times,
you kind of still rely on them to be, at least at a certain level, individually speaking. Like they don't even need to be the best they have ever been in order to win.
Yeah.
But at least need to be still pretty good. And Guardian and Nico sometimes just don't show up. Or at the very least, at this event, Guardian didn't show up. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's tough.
Kerrigan's basically in a tough spot because I know he can do more tactically speaking, but this is also a guy who understands like player mentality way better than most leaders. And so he understands, like, if he says to, like, Guardian, stop doing this shit, like, maybe that'll break Guardian, and next time when you need Guardian to do that shit, he won't do it, right? Or he'll fuck it up. So
I wonder if maybe, if a team like FaZe, and you know that individually you'll still able to come up with, genius things that maybe in this tournament, and at IEM, obviously we're going to talk about that later, maybe just try to, obviously they all have to be on the same page for it, but maybe just try to be like super tactable at certain things. If you're playing against opponents like who did they win against? I mean, just quickly, Order, or if they're playing against no offense against North, but if you're playing the North, maybe even Heroic. They don't actually Heroic's probably not going to make it, but if they face easier opponents in this best of one group, maybe just try these really execute heavy strats where, hey guys, we still have a lower bracket to fall back on, and guess what? We're still a fucking good fragging team. So maybe just try it. Because I feel like either you take a break and you try to refresh and try to, think of ways to incorporate both strats and the fragging power that this team has, or you do it live in a tournament. Because I feel like otherwise you're just gonna not have that fallback come crunch time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a question of fate. It's actually a question for FaZe because like it doesn't feel like this all-star lineup should have worked to begin with, but now that it's worked, it feels like it should do more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely true. No, I totally get that. I think a lot of people were very, were questioning, is this all-star lineup really going to work? Like everybody was like, yeah, on paper, sure, you're going to have like the best 5 or 4 of the best players in the world. But at the same time, there's a reason why a lot of all-star teams don't work, and we do see that problem now. Like the reason why this all-star team currently, quote unquote, isn't working or is having a bit of a slump is because of the issues that we lined out and issues that most all-star teams have. But at the same time, it feels like because we've seen them be really, really good, it feels like they should be able to do so much more than this.
Yeah.
If they're, maybe just, I wouldn't even say get over their own egos. I don't even think that egos.
No, the egos isn't even a problem with this team. It's just something else. It's like something endemic. Maybe it's because it's like so multinational. Maybe that's like the problem. It's like you can't. All five of them had different ideas of how to play the game, and they all grew up in different ways. So it's very hard to get all of that on the same page, especially because they're also all of them were star players for their teams at different times. Even Kerrigan was in the earlier days. So it's like they all have very different and very stubborn ideas of how to make the game work, so to speak.
Oh.
And you know what? Even though we're this critical, I'll go ahead and say it. They're still the best team in the world. They're still the best team in the world. FaZe are. Like, there's no other team that can compare right now. Because like Cloud9 basically has shown they can't do it. SK are having problems. Like, there's nobody. There's their default number one.
Pretty much. All the other teams are just sort of.
Yeah, but like
they're almost first by default, just because everybody else is just not.
Yeah, but
keeping up.
But like to put on your point, if they had done what we expected them to do, this could be like the greatest of all time lineup we'd ever seen. Basically,
pretty much.
That's kind of the level they operate at. So yeah, even like a semifinals is like, God damn it, what the fuck, we fucked up, sort of moment for them.
But that's the thing, right? This is the kind of level that we're operating at. Like, this is a team that always makes semifinals, but then this is where it matters. And,
or semifinals or finals, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, right now there's no other team that consistently gets to that point in the first place.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, obviously it's going to be a different discussion after this event. Like, if Liquid makes top 4 again, we could argue about Team Liquid being like a top 5 team in the world right now. Probably already.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to go there yet.
Okay.
But
it's a dangerous fucking team. I'll put it that way.
I know. It's a dangerous fucking team. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. All right. Was there any other team you wanted to talk about, or we could just move on?
I guess it's worth talking about Mouse, because they did win the event after all. I don't know. It feels so weird. I know people making the memes. Oh, if you had told me that a year ago, ha ha ha. No, but go like 2 years ago when we had Nico and Mouse.
Yeah.
And everybody else was just dead weight.
Yeah.
Where the fuck was Chris J then? I tell you, where was he?
Actually, I had this theory right before the Nico left, that if they had kicked out Dennis and Speedy and brought back in Chris J, because in that roster you get Nico, Oscar, Lowell, Chris J, and then just one of the other guys.
Right.
I thought that would have been a legit team, but like instead they went this weird route where they kicked out Chris J because he was an opera at the time.
They benched him, right? They benched him, and
then they brought him back in after Nico left.
After Nico left, the thing is, like, a lot of people were like saying it, and I think some of them had really stupid ways of arguing about it. But I do think there was a legit argument to be made that if they didn't have Nico, that could have been a better team that they were at the time. Not necessarily because Nico was weighing them down, but because they played around Nico, but they couldn't keep up with Nico, if that makes any sense. Obviously, it's a different team now than it was back then. Like, they definitely need to make changes as well. Like,
basically the only player left is Chris J.
Oh, yeah.
Literally the only player left is Chris J. Because we're talking about Nico's lineup. Nex is gone. God B is gone. Speedy is gone. Dennis is gone. Lowell is gone. The only player he's played with was basically Chris J.
Well, that's right.
And then if you want, we don't even need to like rerun the experiment. We could just look. Is Big or Sprout doing very well without Nico?
No, that's true.
And that's it. Like, because both of those teams have more similar parts to the old Mouse than this one does. That's basically how I put it. Like, we don't even need to rerun the experiment. The experiment's already rerun.
No, you're right. You're right.
Like, trust me, this is not like those players are not that good. Basically, like, to be honest, I think Sprout and Big actually need to combine and actually remake that old Mouse lineup without Nico, because even that's better than what the fuck both of them are doing right now.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, or either way, the point I was getting to, this Mouse Sports lineup it's fun to watch, which I've never been able to say. Well, I guess. Well, previously I was only gonna say Nico's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Now this whole Mouse Sports lineup is fun to watch, and I don't know, they're just working out. I feel like everybody, like, to me, which is the most impressive part, isn't yeah, obviously Chris J is a fucking beast, and I do think if I highlight one of them, it's definitely Chris J.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like anybody's like just really being dead weight or anything,
Yeah, basically,
which is cool.
to build up on that point, I did an article about it. It's like the transformation of Mao's, but every player on this team has a role, and the role, for whatever reason, fits them.
Yeah.
So basically, we have Oscar first, who's like probably the best player, but he's like a bit more inconsistent than the rest of them. So his ceiling is ridiculous, but like he has a lower floor. But basically, they allow Oscar to like run rampant when he's doing really well. So like, okay, go out there, get a pick. Oh, we're gonna do an execute. Oscar, go in first with your op and go get a kill. Like he's like running in with a fucking op or some bullshit, right? But if he isn't feeling it, then they'll be like, okay, Oscar, go in the back and just secure us the post plant or secure us like or help us in the retake or whatever it is they want to do. And he's fine doing that too. Like, and then after that you have Chris J, who we talked about, who's went from secondary op or op to secondary op, and now he's the entry fragger. And on certain maps, like especially train, he like goes the fuck off every once in a while, and he doesn't even need to. He's like the leader, right? He's like in the same position as Kerrigan or Zeus. Like he isn't even supposed to be a win condition, but sometimes he just straight up wins because he gets a bunch of entry fags. And like the actual win condition is the guy who follows up on him, which is like Sunny, because he's supposed to be making space for Sunny to trade frags and break open the site, and Sunny does is incredibly consistent at that. Then you have Ropes on the side, and Ropes is like the lurker, so he actually has a lot of autonomy in terms of how he can play. So he can break open sites if he wants to himself, but if he's not feeling it, he just plays within the team system. He's actually a very smart player, very good decision making. So he also wins a bunch of clutches. And between Sunny and Ropes, they actually switch roles every once in a while, depending on like depending on what zone they're playing in and how what tactic they're using. So it's not like you can actually read if Ropes is going to be the lurker, or if he's going to be like a second in, and same thing for Sunny. And then Stiko is just a good support player, and sometimes he actually gives pretty good impact.
Oh.
Right? So like the entire thing works. The entire thing makes sense. The only weakness you have is like their tactics aren't very deep. So if like their skill doesn't go off, they kind of run into a wall.
Talk to me about the finals, which obviously haven't been able to watch, or not all of it anyway.
Oh, okay. So this is a funny thing that nobody will also be able to explain. But basically, I have this system where like I give points based off of impact,
right,
per round, and generally speaking, what happens is when you get to like the 12 to like 15 range of like impact kill points I give out, you're going to that's like a godlike performance basically, because those are basically like, oh, you want like 1v, you want like 1v2s, 1v3s, you got a bunch of opening kills, or you got like a triple spray down or something like that. Like Simple is going like 24 points or something, like it's basically like doubling the impact or some bullshit. And basically it was literally like Simple is the best player in the world, basically. That's how I'll put it. Because Simple was he has two roles in this current Navi lineup. In the first role, when they're playing their default stuff, he's allowed to like go out there and get opening picks. And then when they bring it back and then do an execute or like hit the site, he's the last guy in, and then he wins the clutch, no matter how badly everybody else fucks up.
This is
so if you think about it, he's kind of like Fur and Coldzera put into one position.
I mean, I plan on rewatching the finals because I see the numbers obviously, and I've seen all the comments, but damn, it feels like I'm just looking currently in the HLTV like scoreboards or whatever. It feels like if you just give, and I don't want to disrespect anybody here from Navi's side, but it feels like if you just give Simple one more player of a caliber of like any one on phase effectively, like they win this finals.
Probably. Especially like even if Zeus does like wakes up for a little bit on Mirage, they win 2-0.
Yeah. It's
like basically like Simple was the best player in the world, and there's no arguing it right now. Like it's not even like Coldzera or Nico or any of the other guys are necessarily bad. It's just he's on another level right now. It's hard to argue because he brings so much impact, so many frags. And I will say this for Navi, there's actually like okay, I'll put it this way. For me, Edward is kind of like Navi and how I feel about them, and the fact that I feel like I should have given up on this team months ago. But every once in a while, there's this game or maybe there's a series where like Edward will go off, and this actually happened in like the semifinals where Edward was, or and the quarterfinals basically where I think it was the quarterfinals actually where like Edward was winning a bunch of random clutches against Astralis and saving Navi, and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I should give him another chance. Because he, even though he's been so fucking terrible, maybe I should give this another chance, right? And that's basically how I feel about the entire Navi roster. Like, yeah, they made it to the finals. It feels like, man, I should give up on this team. But wait a minute, they made it to the finals. What am I, like, right? There's like some weird disconnect going on with Navi, and like it feels like Flamey is coming back to form. I actually don't think that much of Electronic, but fair play to his inclusion into the team. The Navi squad has looked a lot better with him in it, even though he himself doesn't do much. And then like I feel like Zeus is like he's always been like part bot basically, but that's kind of like what you have to do for an in-game leader sometimes.
It's really a shame that Navi didn't qualify for IEM because I would have loved to see
Mouse
Navi at
too, right?
IEM
That would have
now.
been sick.
It's not only because it's simple, but rather to see how this team can evolve from here. Because what a lot of times when I see CS LAN events, and yeah, I feel like it's stronger in CS than it is in Dota.
Mm-hmm.
But in CS, like if a team does really well at an event, that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to carry that on for the next event.
Yeah.
Like in Dota, if you, for example, if let's say Vici Gaming, they just made the finals at ESL 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know that they're still going to be able to compete with a top four next event. Like maybe
Yeah.
they don't make top four, but they're still going to be able to compete with them and like consistently.
Yeah.
And very rarely do we have like one team that just makes the finals or like top four and bombs out the next one, or was like super bad the next one. It doesn't really happen that often in Dota, but in CS it feels like more so than that one team will be able to go into the finals and then in the next event they won't even like make it out of groups or something.
Yeah. It's a there's a lot of factors as to why, but yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's
true.
much.
There's like
There's a reason, but yeah, I totally get what you mean. Like,
format, for example, being one of them. Definitely,
yeah,
the fact that in Dota we have much more consistent formats, so that teams that get to that stage have definitely already proven themselves time and time again. Whereas in CS, yeah, this format was great. I love the Starladder format, but nay, we go back to best of one groups.
mm-hmm. Or like another example is like, if you don't know that much about the team, like you can fuck up the map veto and keep giving the enemy team their best map, and then all of a sudden next tournament you realize, oh, what if we do this and do this in the pick ban, and all of a sudden they're complete shit because apparently they never had any other maps, right? And then there's like the other problems is like basically like there's definitely roles and there's definitely play styles in CS:GO, but in the end it's just a guy with a gun, and
That's true.
so it's a lot easier to disseminate and scout information from enemy opponents relative to Dota 2 in a strange way, because even if you have like all the information about like the VOD or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean you'll know why he went this item or what he was thinking in a particular time. And it's not even the case I can even replicate it. Like everybody knows Abed plays Meepo, but that doesn't mean your team can play Meepo, right?
That's true.
Like that's like it's not. There's like some version of that in CS:GO, but it's not as extreme.
It's also, I feel like a player having a bad or a good tournament in Dota, or especially when it comes to the bad tournament, it doesn't feel like it impacts the team as much as it does in CS. Like in CS, again, if Nico has a bad day,
It's over.
It's over.
Right?
In Dota, if let's say Artesia has a bad day, you'll still be able to recover in most cases. Like
Mm-hmm.
bad days in Dota or bad performances in Dota don't usually carry on for like an entire game.
Yeah.
If the team can pull you through like the next 20 minutes, you'll still be able to have like a lot of. I mean, we've seen that a lot of times. You have bad first 10, 15 minutes because you were off or whatever, and then you just pop off, and the next 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, like you can't dodge in CS:GO.
Yeah. Oh, let me just dodge the B side, and we'll just hold A, I guess.
Yeah,
No.
like no, they just take it and then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Right, and then there's also the case of like CS:GO is like a game where the battles end always instantly or very very fast relative to like a bunch of other games, even the Dota 2 most of the time. So there's always the question of that.
And I feel like the downtime into the 2 is actually it really helps that factor. You know,
Yeah,
like there's like just 5-10 minutes of farming, and
yeah.
it gives you a lot of time to reflect, time to think, time to relax, and
Hmm.
sort of like prepare for the next fight to come. Whereas in CS, I mean, you have to take a time out if you really want to do that.
Yeah, and then there's like there's also the question of like, how do I explain it? Oh, basically, even if you're like really fucked up in Dota 2, like skill wise, at the end of the day, if you just press the skill on the button, like for instance, let's say like you're Sven, you're really fucking up, whatever, you just do a Stormhammer, you'll always get like that X amount of seconds in stun, right?
That's true.
If you really fucking up, like if you're really fucking up in CS:GO, you're just gonna keep missing all your shots, and there's nothing you can do about it,
That's true. That's true.
right? So that's like there's a bunch of reasons as to why, but it's an interesting topic in of itself, right? So yeah, Mouse is definitely like one of the best teams in the world. Basically, I think
Al-
they've proven it.
Also, not at this event, unfortunately.
Yeah, not also not at this event. Navi is one of the most dangerous teams in the world because they have Simple. So I guess Simple is the most dangerous team in the world. Fucking Simple is like fucking crazy. Like they actually have the best player in the world. There's no denying that. All right. Um, guess that covers it for this one. Unless you want to talk about another team,
No, I'm good.
but like the rest of the teams are going to go be at Katowice, so we can talk about it there.
No, that's true.
All right. Next is Dota 2.
Yes. Oh, that was an interesting event for sure. Did you watch any of it?
Yeah, I watched all of it.
All right.
Yeah, it was a very tiring weekend. Let's see.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. All right. I wonder then. I don't even recall what we exactly predicted, but let me just say that nobody predicted Fnatic to get out of this group.
Of course not.
I will say that I do think they had the easier route to the finals, but of course, beating Secret is still an accomplishment in of itself, and I
Yep.
don't want to take anything away from that. But still, beating Navi 1-0 isn't impressive. Beating Fnatic 2-1 is not impressive either. Even if Kinguin beats Newbie, it was still a best of one. Beating Kinguin 2-1 was not an impressive feat. So for me, it was definitely the easiest route to that group finals, but beating Secret was very impressive as well. Even though you could argue it could have gone either way, like Secret could have taken this definitely.
What are you
That
talking
was
about? They were
obviously the
dead all
spectac-
along.
Yeah, well, um, I mean, if you're up against Eternal Envy and you give him like that 10% chance, he definitely takes it. And he did. It was probably actually a 2% chance.
It was actually the best.
Um,
It was actually. I'll go ahead and say it. That's actually the best moment of the entire tournament.
yes, no, for sure. I don't know. It feels like otherwise, I want to say we're pretty close to being spot on.
Yeah.
I did call OG over VP, I believe.
Mm-hmm. You also called
But
OG over Liquid for some reason.
yeah, that's true. But then I did call Vici to go through that.
Yeah, he did.
Obviously, we both expected Newbie to make it over Fnatic.
Yeah, but newbies like
Um,
yeah,
And Newbie's like, it's Chinese New Year, boys.
and then Vici Games like fuck you guys. Need that.
All right, it is worth noting. We discussed it last week. I confirmed it on site. No Chinese player has done any scrimming going into this event.
Yeah.
Meaning even Secret has not been able to scrim going into the event because Mid One, of course, being Malaysian and being of Chinese descent, has celebrated Chinese New Year. So that means that it is actually quite impressive still to consider the fact that Vici Gaming made it to the finals, Secret made it to the quarterfinals, despite any of that. All right, give me. What team you want to talk about?
Well, I was gonna say my favorite part was I'll go back and say fucking Eternal Envy, man. Like fucking Eternal Envy. Just when you think all the shit is gone, Eternal Envy pulls it back.
Pulls it back.
Yeah,
He's never gone.
that was like that was ridiculous because everything should have been dead, and he just jacks the fucking game like him in Universe, I guess. Right?
I want to say somebody told me it was Envy's call to.
Yeah, it was Envy's call. It was on the post game interview.
Alright.
Basically, what happened was when Envy died, he does this thing where like he spams the entire map for information, because that's just who he is as a person, and he realized that the throne was under attack and he could win, but his call was the throne, the throne, the throne, the throne, the throne. Like that's his
Instead
literal
of saying, yeah,
go to the throne, and then thank God Universe is like oh shit, and then Universe ulted over, and then they took the throne. That's basically what happened. So
can't believe he can decipher Envy's weird language.
yo man, it's anime and Disney, brothers of the same mother or whatever, brothers of a different mother,
Basically.
right? that was my favorite moment. I'll go ahead and say that.
No, they, hell, it's I'm pretty sure this is something that we'll refer to in like a couple of years still, because this is the kind of
It's
this
another
is the kind
eternal
of thing
envy
that's
moment. It's another.
it's another eternal envy moment.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's also something that makes Dota so unique. I
Yeah.
feel like this. I feel like no other game has something like this.
Yeah.
Like there, yeah, you have like ninja diffuses, but that's like so common as well, right? Ninja diffuse is like a pretty
Yeah.
common
It's not.
mechanic,
It's not. It's not
right?
like that. Like there, you can make moments like that in CS:GO, but there's nobody like Eternal Envy. I'll give you that. Nobody
No,
is like
that's
fucking Eternal Envy.
eternal envy is very unique.
Like, okay, I'll say it this way. Like, I think Simple is like the best player to watch in all of esports right now because he's so ridiculous. But Eternal Envy has always been the most entertaining player to watch.
For sure.
In
And
wins
his
or
team's
losses,
definitely.
this guy is like ridiculous. You don't know what the fuck is coming.
Yeah. Could be the worst player in existence, could be the best player in existence. You never know. Like
Oh,
genius or
yeah.
idiot.
Genius or clown. Win the unwinnable and lose the unlosable. Big fan of that. Big
Um
fan of that guy. All right, so
yeah.
let me let me think here. What did you think about the Liquid
Well,
versus Vici game? Did
let
you
me
watch
pull
that?
this up before. Yeah, I watched pretty much every series, but I never watched like an entire like I pretty much always watched parts of a series, but I never really fully watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Um let me quickly pull this up a little. I need the entire hero scoreboard in front of me. I don't know. I feel like, and I think this is where Virtus Pro sort of like um favored. I think it was very favorable for Virtus Pro to have faced Vici Gaming before, in
Mm-hmm.
the, like in the group stage, obviously, and then also having this much information on Vici Gaming in general, like because if you know. I mean, I guess every time you go to the finals, you'll have a lot of information about the team. But still, having faced them before and having seen even Liquid play against them, I think even twice, right? Liquid
Yeah.
played them twice. I think that's very favorable for Virtus Pro because it allowed them to have a lot of information available. I think you could tell from the Liquid series. It felt like in the second series they were like in the second series where they played against them. It felt like they were much more prepared for them,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still just not enough because I feel like I don't really think Liquid's style necessarily does match up against Vici Gaming, even though they tried in the second series again.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell they were trying to like
Pressure the
increase
bat.
the increase the tempo when they played against them. Right? You know, they picked the Chen, they picked the Ursa because they realized if we just pressure Vici Gaming early on, we'll win against them, and that's what they did in the first game. You know, in the second game of the second series, they had like
Yeah.
Chandras, they had like Viper, Elder Titan, like really heroes that can get really aggressive with early on, with necessarily getting punished for it. Um, and it just felt like Vici Gaming are just kings of like stalling it out, making sure they survive the landing stage, and then just like
Fighting.
forcing team fights as well.
They're,
Like
they're,
one of the things that Chinese teams do really well, and something that actually Liquid used to be really good at, is just forcing team fights and forcing the right team fights on the right position and right timing.
mm-hmm.
I actually wanted to write an analysis piece on that because forcing team fights is not easy in Dota because
Yeah.
like teams are so good at dodging. Like Liquid is also really good at dodging team fights because they want to take a team fight on their own terms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes Vici Gaming will just force like an objective or like make sure that they sort of not necessarily chase people into the right direction, but be in a position where it's easy to respond to it to like a gank,
Mm-hmm.
but like not easy enough to prevent the gank, but easy enough to make the enemy think, all right, this is a team fight we should probably take, or this is probably where we should be able to, where we should have should take on Vici, but.
Yeah.
It's like this false sense of security. Hey, come here. This like we're fighting right next to, or not right next to, but pretty close to this tier one. You know,
Alright.
you could definitely TP to this. Come in.
Mm-hmm. All right. Makes sense. Yeah. I actually think like I said this before. Like I thought Vici Gaming was actually the best Chinese team. Like my faith was a little bit shaken because Newbie won ESL Genting, but I still think Vici Gaming the
I
best
agree.
Chinese team, right?
I talked to a couple of people as well. You know, coaches, players, and not a lot, but some of them definitely agreed that Newbies or Vici Gaming is definitely or is probably the better Chinese team.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general. But I think if you look at the finals, like they still have that one issue that, or a couple of the issues that we talked about, even going into this.
Yeah.
Like I think when it comes to drafting, they tend to choke up in like playoff performances.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the drafting was not good in the finals at
Yeah.
all. Because you could tell like so if Virtus Pro can have pretty much the same opener, or like only need to open with 2 heroes or 3 heroes. Gyrocopter, Omni Knight, Gyrocopter, Omni Knight, Chen, Chen Gyrocopter, Chen Gyrocopter, and they still win 3 out of those 4 games. That tells you that Vici Gaming has no clue what they need to do against Virtus Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had no idea how to figure out Virtus Pro. They tried everything. Oh, we go Death Prophet. I guess we can use Death Prophet. So let's. What do we do now? And then they lose. To me, it just feels like when it comes to like clutch scenarios, they're not drafting properly, and I wonder if maybe Mikasa not being part of the team or not being a player, I feel like that kind of impacts that as well. I feel like if you play, you might have a better grasp of how the rhythm of the series is going. Whereas if you're watching from the outside, I actually feel conflicted, because technically speaking, I do think that if you have a coach that's on the outside and helping the captain draft,
No, there's
like, should work
there's
out.
information in both ways. Actually, there's like very
Yeah.
specific domains of information there. Like there was a coach, NBA coach, I forgot who it was, but basically said like what his entire philosophy was like, yeah, he had all the information outside the game, but he'd always ask the players inside the game when they came off what they were thinking about the game, because there's like very specific like micro things that are going on inside the game that affect the entire scope of the game also.
And I personally have to assume that he does that, but then you think to yourself, why, for example, in game 2 did they keep drafting the Death Prophet?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like after the first game, he should have realized Death Prophet is not the answer here, especially against Gyrocopter, because what Virtus Pro just do is just put Gyrocopter in a dual lane against the Death Prophet, and they win that dual lane.
Yeah.
Vici Gaming tried to sort of like play against it by picking the Warlock, because Warlock at dual lanes isn't too bad either,
Yeah.
especially in that dual lane. But it just didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you maybe don't lose your lane, but that means you lose the other lanes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like Vici Gaming just didn't really feel like they knew how to draft against Virtus Pro at all in this finals. Even beforehand, I felt like Liquid could have technically won their games against Vici Gaming. They probably should have.
Until Alk came into the picture, yes.
Still, Alk came into the picture.
Yeah, I cannot believe that 5th pick was Alk.
Yeah,
that was very surprising.
Can believe it.
But I guess it was Chinese New Year's. Had to give out that prosperity, you know.
Those red envelopes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So speaking of Virtus Pro, let's talk about the greatest. Let's talk about Sumail's EG. Finally lost to Virtus Pro. What do you think happened here?
Maybe it's just a little cursed.
Maybe it's just a little cursed.
No, like hasn't Lil been part of this loss streak for like since the beginning?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a little curse. Maybe it never was a Virtus Pro curse. Maybe it was always just a little curse.
Pretty sure if everybody else also loses a bunch of times, it's a everybody curse. But okay.
No, I feel like it's pretty cool for Virtus Pro to definitely have this, because if you look at past tournament performances, like they could have probably had maybe a title or 2 more if they didn't face EG just early on, and EG just has always been a good matchup for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it also just should go to show that EG is just not at the level that they want to be at.
What a punk.
They should be at.
What a punk.
Yeah, they beat Newbie 2-0, but I feel like that was also a very deceptive win, because Newbie at this event
Newbie was not
like
good at this event. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at...
Also, a side note, if you're losing to Newbie, you're pretty much trash, Navi. Next.
Pretty much. Like this EG at this event, they've had a pretty easy run through their group, to be honest, if you think about it.
Yeah.
What, they beat they lost against LGD, then they only had to beat Infamous and Kingwin. And again, beating Newbie, I don't want to take anything away from it. I still think it was an impressive win against them, right? But it's still... I still don't feel like this was enough of a performance for me to say, well, this is definitely top 6 team at this event.
Don't think so either. Yeah. Basically, I still think EG's on the decline. I still think they basically need to bend the knee to PPD. Even though like Optic obviously didn't do very well at this event, like there are other reasons why Optic is not that good, and those reasons don't necessarily apply to EG. But EG need the thing that Optic has, which is PPD.
What I do want to say about PPD, actually, and I genuinely agree with you that I still think that PPD captain-wise is would probably be a better solution for EG than what they have right now.
Mm-hmm.
At least to me, it doesn't feel like EG right now is really progressing at all.
Yeah.
At least judging from this event and like from the previous events to this event, it didn't feel like there was any progression at all. But what I want to say about PPD is, as good as a leader he may be, like individually speaking, in terms of like as a player, I think he's
Really
fallen
off.
behind very significantly.
Yeah,
If
he's
you so his style of the whole like, oh, I'm the 8 position player, I don't get any farm, and everybody else gets like, a ton of farm, and I have like, I don't want to say he doesn't have any impact, but I feel like most 5 position support players these days, they play a sort of like hybrid support position. So yeah, they still sacrifice farm, but they'll still have a lot of impact because they'll technically play those heroes that are, mechanically a little bit more advanced. You'll have like, for example, Kuro play a Tusk, right?
yeah.
Which is a hero that you technically want to farm on, but at the same time, you can have a lot of impact without any farm. But PPD, if you look at his heroes, or at least at his playstyle, he'll still play like, oh, I'll play like Avenge or whatever, like a Bane or something that's just really defensive, something that doesn't necessarily do a lot on the map.
I will say there. I will say this for PBD. Feels like something is changing with him. He actually played Rubik.
Yep.
He actually played Rubik.
Although I still don't think it was a good performance.
It wasn't a good performance.
He did play Rubik.
But he did indeed play Rubik. So maybe on some level he understands that something needs to change with him personally, and that's like that's something you can admire about a player if they can realize like they have to expand, or if they put themselves in like an uncomfortable position just so they can win. That's worthwhile, I guess.
Well, definitely is, and I do think that going for, quite frankly, he hasn't been in the team for a long time where he was close enough to realize that he hit his ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense. Like, obviously, this optic right now is the first time in over 1.5 years now that he's been part of a team where he realized, all right, my ceiling is actually not good enough. I need to be better. Because previously, his team was just not good enough to even make it to LAN events, right?
Yeah. So it's hard for him to actually get really strong data about it.
No, that's true. That's true, and this is why I think going forward now, this is where I expect this PPD to like step up effectively, because I don't question his leadership qualities whatsoever, or at least not right now. I don't think there's any reason for me to do so, like no public reason anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of individual skill, I think he is definitely behind a lot of 5 position support players.
Yeah, and he can't like not as we're getting to the point where like he can't really do that. Yeah. Except with what's his name? Well, he's gone now, but was it Faith? It was somebody
Faith
like that
from Newbie?
No, not Faith. I'm thinking of the other team.
Which team?
LFY's old guy.
LFY, DDC?
Yeah, DDC. DDC was pretty bad. DDC was pretty bad.
He was definitely pretty bad for a long time. Like, it almost felt like he was. And don't have this discussion in the house because you will disagree. But I definitely think there was a period where he was really lacking behind. But even he has stepped it up a lot, like in the last 2 years now. Mm-hmm. He's been consistently more impactful as a player.
All right.
And this is where I think, realistically, if Optic wanted to improve, I think this is an almost easy area where they can improve. I say easy, even though it's not.
It's like an identifiable area.
Yeah, it's an identifiable area, but at the same time, they have other issues as well. Like CCNC, I think, against Complexity, he showed up. God damn it. But generally speaking, I think
CCNC is super inconsistent, and I can't blame him because he's so new. But like that's always going to be a problem with that team because he's set up to be the superstar, basically.
Yeah. Another issue I have with this team is actually the fact that they have 3-3 as a support player.
Yeah, I know. You already told me about it. You think 3-3 and Zai should switch?
I think he and Zai need to switch. And if you look at the game...
They did switch, kind of, right?
They did switch. No, they definitely did switch, right? It was him on the Broodmother and then Zai playing the support.
And it almost worked. I feel
like it almost worked. Obviously, they still lost, and I think this is 100% on Optic for like being... I don't know what to call there. I feel like that was a collectively bad decision in general, but also just individually. I think, again, CCNC... I think he was much stronger in Team Freedom. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what's happening in this Optic team, but when he was in Team Freedom before and he almost qualified for TI, he was a beast of a player where you think, all right, this is probably, NA's next mid. But right now, he's really bad.
We'll see, because it's always hard to say with a player like that, with players like that, because they're always hyped up to be very good, but not a lot of them make the jump.
That's true.
So, and this guy is completely new, so it's the jury is still out on this guy because it's not like he's been to that many lands. So we'll see.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, there's not a lot of data right now for Optic from Optic,
Yeah.
at least not on LAN.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they lose the qualifiers, but that's just because I think they have a really bad matchup against Complexity.
Yeah.
Because Complexity, Complexity is like a team, with Kyle, especially the captain. If you give him enough time to prepare for an opponent, I feel like he's going to be super prepared for that team.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kyle, I think if you ask most people, there's definitely been like a really bad drafts from Kyle. But again, if you give him a lot of time to prepare, he'll actually come up with really good drafts against certain teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if you give him against that's why he has like generally good matchups against like Optic and even EG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, EG beats them a lot of times as well, but I think that's mostly because of individual skill and like team cohesion more so than strategy.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think Optic and EG have a little bit of a bad time against Complexity because Complexity obviously continuously plays them.
Yeah.
But I think Optic now on LAN events, I think they're gonna, hopefully for them anyway, they get a lot of experience. It's a bit unfortunate for them actually that
they ran into Virtus Pro and they ran
again.
into Team Liquid. Basically, it's like
well, that as well. And the only team that they were able to beat was Complexity, which it's good for them confidence wise, but you don't really learn anything out of that.
Yeah,
because you've already played them. There's nothing for them to learn in that. If they had faced Effect, if they had faced Kinguin, Infamous, these are teams that you don't regularly play against, so you at least learn something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But against Complexity, I don't think they took anything away from that, to be honest.
Yep.
Maybe something internally, but that's basically it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But yeah, there's one more team I want to talk about, OG, because I did put them above Liquid in that direct matchup.
Yeah, you did.
And I do think that OG is quote-unquote back, in the sense that I do think they'll consistently compete for top spots at events from here on out. It's definitely difficult, to be like a top 4 team right now because top 4 team are goddamn top 4.
Mm-hmm.
I do think though that generally speaking, I think OG is a top 4 contender. Like, and this, I do want to say you should probably give them some slack because they're like, this was literally their first LAN event this season. I think.
Yeah, I think it was
first or second. No, it wasn't. It was the first major this season. They had.
Yeah.
They had like 2 LAN events. I want to say like MDL.
Yeah, it wasn't
something
like not very good ones, but yeah, they've been to some LANs.
So going forward, Bucharest major.
Yeah, like
Epicenter, whatever.
Like I think they're a good middle of the table team. But if you're talking about top 4, there's like it's too stacked basically for me to put them in top 4, because we're basically like, are you gonna put them over Liquid, Secret, or Virtus Pro? It doesn't seem likely. And then among the Chinese teams, there's still Vici, there's still Newbie, and in my heart, there's still Big God.
Uh-huh.
And then what if they run into Eternal Envy and he just like jacks a game for them? You never know.
That's true.
Right? Like even though like I basically said Mineski hit their ceiling, that doesn't mean they can't win. Like Mineski's pretty dangerous, right? Bunch of dangerous teams out there.
Do you want to directly tie this into like preview for Bucharest because most of them are?
Basically the same thing.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right. So
the format though.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Let me do one thing about ESL1 and the format and the schedule.
Okay.
Because I've talked about this on Twitter, and I know a lot of pro players have talked about this as well. But it's pretty bullshit that we have 4 days of off stage play.
Mm-hmm.
The last day of that offstage play is actually 2 best-of-3s only, starting at 3 p.m. And then you have every day before that really cramped with like matches.
Yeah.
So on day 1, you're playing at what, like 1 at least for Complexity they played at around like 1 p.m. roughly, and then they have their elimination match at 8. I feel like that's super bullshit because not only do you force the team to be pretty much on alert, awake for 12 hours at that point.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna just only show up at 1 p.m. If you play at 1 p.m., you're already at the venue at least 11, and they finished their match I want to say around 10:30 or something. So that's I don't know. They were definitely awake for around 12 hours at least.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you even play elimination matches in one? I don't think any event, by the way, and I've said this before because TI also had a qualifier format once where they allowed a team to be eliminated within a single day.
Yeah.
How's that possible? I think that's bullshit. If you lose the first match, I don't think you should be able... Well, if you do play another match after that, it should never be an elimination game. Because mentality is such a big thing in esports, and in Dota especially. I think if you lose a game, you should never be able to be eliminated on the same day. Granted, at least obviously if it's a double elim bracket. If it's only single elim, I mean,
you have to be eliminated in a single day, man. There's nothing you can do about that.
Exactly. There's no way around that. But if you have double limb, why do you do that? And I'm sure there could have been a schedule around that. Maybe it would have inconvenienced ESL. I don't care. But I feel like it's just really stupid, especially since it's so random. It's only Group A, 2 teams got eliminated
Yeah.
on the first day, and then Group B, nah, you can get eliminated in day 2. That's fine. You can have a day to sleep it through.
Yeah, I think it really depends on a few things. Depends, of course, on how much time you have. So, for instance, in this case, I think they probably could have had enough time to mess around with the schedule. But I actually agree with them a little bit on the fact that they only had like 2 best-of-3s on the last day, or whatever it was, like a best-of-3 and like a best-of-5 on the finals day, basically.
No, I'm not even talking about finals. It
Oh.
was Friday.
Oh, Friday. Yeah, no,
Friday.
that's different.
There were only two.
Yeah,
There were
because
only 2 best-of-3s.
Yeah.
I don't even know why.
like I don't know
can't
why
think of a
that's the case, but basically like the way I think about it is it depends on how much time you have, and like it depends on the venue. Like, but obviously the venue doesn't come into account for this particular case because this is all off stage, right?
So yeah, all off stage.
Yeah, so that's very different, and like I kind of see where you're coming from because it's not like it's actually going to affect anything else, really. It's just like you're just making it a bit more fair for the competitors, right?
Pretty much.
I will say this only really applies to this kind of format or in Dota 2. Like because for instance, there's going to be times where you're going to play like an entire like GSL group stage in one day. Sometimes just like one team, and in that case, you have to get eliminated. There's nothing you can do. Or there's going to be a case where like in Evo, basically you're running a 5,000 man bracket. Like I don't give a fuck. You have to eliminate people on the first day, right?
Oh, definitely.
Like,
definitely.
those are very different cases from this case.
Yeah.
So
Those are
yeah,
very
I
different
agree with
cases.
you in this particular case, but it's not like a general rule I'd follow. It's like a case on case scenario.
No, I agree. But I do think that if you run a lot of it with like, let's say like 5 days or 6 days of playtime, generally speaking, a team should not be eliminated. Should not be able to be eliminated within a day, unless
Yeah.
you run like a single elim bracket. But in Dota, most of the times, you usually have at least a group stage into playoff to a degree, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like if you run 6 days of playtime, you should not be able to be eliminated within the day.
Yeah.
Because then either your format or your scheduling sucks. And again, in this case in particular, it definitely like the scheduling.
I think it's
definitely sucks.
scheduling
The format
rather
definitely
than the
sucks as
format.
well.
Yeah.
Well, the format is also something to be questioned, I think, because let me just pull this up. So one of the things I really hate about this is the fact that you invest so much. Like, for example, Liquid.
Yeah.
You know, Liquid. What they win against OG. They win against. Oh wait, there was something I don't recall it anymore. But I feel like in general.
Oh, maybe you're talking about EG. Like they won a bunch of games and then they got no points.
Oh, basically. Well, the whole point thing is something entirely different anyway as well.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with I think it was Chessie that tweeted out,
Top
if
8
you
should
make
get
top
it.
8 at a 16-team event, you probably should get some sort of points. Like, even if it's just like 30 points per player or something.
Yeah.
You should definitely be able to get something out of it. I agree. I think
it depends on which. This actually comes to my personal preference. It depends on which 16 teams, like, right?
well, that's true.
Like in this
But at
case,
the
yes. But like, if a bunch of them were like a bunch of shitters, I would not do that. No. But
So the thing is, and I think this is worth probably like its own discussion, but I just want to briefly talk about it, is that I feel like Valve should incentivize tournament organizers to run better events by giving out DPC points, not based on prize pool, but rather on if a tournament meets certain criteria. So if you can afford this, like if you can provide this sort of accommodation, like setup, whatever, have this sort of like qualifier format. So for example, has to be 10 out of 16 teams have to be able to be qualified, not invited, because if you would just invite 8 shitty teams like DST does, should 8 teams really be able to get DPC points? I don't think so. But in general, if you have this amount of qualifier teams, this amount of like maybe even ladder invites, so you invite teams that are already on the ranking system, like right, if you invite like 6 out of like 8 teams from the top 8 in the DPC ladder, then you are also qualified to be a major or whatever. Like I think if they just increase the sort of like amount of requirements to be able to run a major or like a prestigious event, then we would actually get better events. Because right now the only requirement is just like 6 qualifiers for every region, or every region has 1 qualifier, and the prize pool. That's it.
Yes.
Teams or organizers can run really shitty events, like really shitty environments for players as well. You know, like really bad practice areas or no practice areas whatsoever. Like tournament organizers need to be incentivized to run better events.
Yeah, it really depends on
But yeah,
It's
no,
it's
that's why I think
it's hard. It's hard to think about Valve for me personally because they don't talk.
no right, no right.
Like, so I can't get into their minds most of the time. Like, I can get into the minds of like the CS:GO guys. Like, whatever the fuck the two guys do, we can never do. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. Right.
But no, I agree with you though, and I think this is why I think this is it should be its own discussion at some point. Maybe we'll do like a special episode about it.
Probably get some more people who care about this vehemently.
Yes.
I can think of Knoxville would definitely care.
Yes, no, definitely.
All right.
But yeah, last thing or not last thing, but I guess something I want to say about the Bucharest major, is that I think this competition is significantly worse.
Yeah.
Not necessarily significantly, but it is worse than the one before. I think just because
group stage Swiss format best of one.
It's best of one Swiss. We have a couple of worse teams as well. If I compare them directly, for example, I think LGD is miles ahead of LFY.
Yeah.
We shall see. They can prove me wrong. Obviously, I haven't seen them in a
man, I don't believe in Yao. Fuck, man. I don't believe in Yao.
Me neither. Vega Squadron is a really bad team. Not necessarily worse than Effect by any means, but still going to be like, eh. Pain, I guess, is also eh. But, I think the format in itself is already worse.
Yeah, format's already worse.
And then and then it's only like single Olymp playoffs as well. I mean, it's the same, obviously, but, it's like you have a bad group stage into just a single Olymp playoffs. It's just like, we'll see.
Yeah. Basically, I have the same. I have the usual suspects, basically. Secret, Liquid, Virtus Pro, and then Vici. Is that same for you?
Pretty much. I do think that, again, I do trust or I do believe in OG to sort of like break through there. But at the same time, it might not have been enough time. And I feel like if you give teams like Secret more time to play, like for Secret right now, I mentioned the whole mid one not scrimming with them, right?
Yeah.
Now they've had literally days off or time to scrim. I do think Secret is going to be top 2 at this event. Secret without like practice time still look fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So I think this is and historically speaking, Virtus Pro hasn't been a team that like has like a streak of dominance. So I feel like this could potentially be
an all new era with Roger though. All new era.
Maybe. But I do think this is a tournament where they could fall off. Not necessarily significantly, but I wouldn't be surprised if they fall off a little bit because they literally just won a major.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, winning a major now compared to winning a major back then is a bit different in terms of mentality.
It's true.
It's not as big of a deal.
That's true, but again, if you look at, the ESL in Hamburg, they win the major, and then the event afterwards, even the major afterwards, it almost felt like they weren't really on the same level. But again,
Roger's an all new era.
That new Roger era, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. New pizza era at least.
Yep.
Yeah, basically I have the same things. All right, so just give me one dark horse. One dark horse. Can't be any of the 5 teams you just named. We just named basically.
Yeah, of course. Probably VGJ Thunder.
VGJ Thunder.
Yeah. I think in terms of Chinese teams, they're probably, to me, competing for 3rd place right now. Like, for me, Newbie and Vici are like the top teams, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think LGD is technically my 3rd best team, but just the way at least the VGJ Thunder plays within China, they do really, really well against most teams. They've recently changed out their captain or their... Well, yeah, it was actually that captain as well. But I still do think that they're almost better off, especially since they've had some time. Yeah, sure, it's Chinese New Year, but still, I think this is a team for me right now. Like I expect more from them from LFI for sure.
Right.
So for me, if I have to make like an extra quarterfinal team, that's going to be them.
Yeah, I will. My dark horse will be Mineski. I think Mineski's still pretty good. I still think they need to make. I still think they need to make that 3-man switch into Burning, Landom, and MY. But dreams will remain dreams for now. All right.
They will. Yeah.
All right, and then the final tournament we'll talk about is IEM Katowice for CS:GO, because Katowice never ends apparently.
It's already been going on.
Yeah.
We've seen a couple of I guess
some
almost
games.
standard results, I guess.
Yeah, pretty standard.
Um,
Virtus Pro dying basically is as
Despite
expected.
playing Nuke.
Yep. Yeah,
Despite
they
playing
really
Nuke.
fucked if they can't win Nuke. So,
Yeah.
but I guess it's G2 who's also a very good Nuke team, and it's also a new map. But we'll see. I actually basically have no hope for Virtus Pro.
Nope, me neither.
Yeah.
Cloud9 almost stumbled against Tyloo. That was pretty interesting.
The
I'm not sure if you
goddamn
saw that.
Chinese. No, I didn't see that, but I saw the scores like what 14-16. Whatever. As long as you close it.
Skadoodle,
As long as you close it.
Skadoodle had to 1v3 them at like 14-14 or something to
Oh,
clutch it back for them.
That's some bullshit. Okay.
Other than that, I don't know. I think this. I mean, it's the same format as the
Same format as the
ESL One
Dota 2
Dota 2
one.
event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a standard format that ESL want to run at future events going forward.
Yeah.
I believe I've seen like some sort of announcement where they want to have like standardized formats.
Yeah,
so
and this is their
probably
this is their answer to that. It's not a bad format altogether considering their old ones.
I mean, hey, for CS it's not bad.
For CS,
think,
yeah, like it's
I think
for Dota 2 is different, but
for Dota 2 it's definitely different.
I mean,
I think if you ask most Dota 2 teams, they would actually prefer to play the best of 3 first and then the best of 1 as an elimination game.
Mm-hmm.
Because being in the low bracket playing best of 1, I think is an acceptable thing to do. But in the first seed matters so much that if you get drawn to like a random opponent, it's really rough. And because best of 1 is so volatile and so random, there's a high chance that if you lose, you're going to play a team that is technically better than their result would indicate. Because best of 1s, you can in Dota at least definitely surprise anytime. So when Penguin won against Newbie, Navi was just fucked.
Yeah.
There's no way Navi can win against Newbie in best of 3. That's why, like, if they had best of 3 against Fnatic, I actually think they have better chances to win that one than they do in the against Newbie. So
yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, for this format, top 3 per group, I guess.
Yeah, top 3 per group. So give me your 3. I think they're probably pretty obvious, but go ahead.
For Group A, I want to say Cloud9. I still don't quite believe in Astralis, but I'm definitely going to go with Cloud9 Liquid. And I think I would not want to go with SK, but I do think that if one of these 3 doesn't make it, I think it's going to be SK, and then it would be Astralis. But right now, I don't believe in Astralis.
So SK.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here, basically. Like, yeah, SK has some problems, but they're still a very good team, I think. And they probably won't have time to fix some of their problems, but just the pure skill of the team should be enough anyway to get them out.
Pretty much.
What about Group B? Because this one's a bit harder. Like,
this one's definitely a bit harder.
There's only one obvious team in FaZe, and then after that, it's like, yeah.
It's definitely FaZe, but it's also group stage, so G2.
Yeah, definitely G2 group stage.
And then for me, it's probably between North and Fnatic, and I want to say North just because I think Fnatic was really bad at that.
Yeah, I actually have the exact same reasonings. Like, listen, I can't believe in any team that loses to Tyloo. I cannot believe in any team that loses to Tyloo.
That was embarrassing. That entire tournament for them was really embarrassing.
Yeah.
Actually. And
it's not like
honestly, the way that
basically been like 5 days ago, basically like.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure how easy it is to recover from something like that so quickly as well. Whereas, at least from North, I just saw them win against NIP. Granted, NIP isn't a good team, but the way they were winning, at least, it's like you can see them taking games off of other teams.
Yep.
At least their own map pick, they should be able to win against most teams. So I feel like this is going to be the North side of thing. But like you said, this almost feels like such a lot like imbalanced groups. Like who drew these groups?
Don't know. Not a clue.
Like if you put Astralis in Group B, they definitely make it out of that group. I think.
Oh, actually, no. I kind of understand where they're coming from. If you're talking about the group stages, because these groups were made like probably before the summit.
Probably weeks ago, yeah.
Before the summit, right? And then back then, nobody knew shit about Liquid. And let's be honest, Liquid was pretty bad back then, right?
Right.
Gambit was pretty bad. Like, Fnatic actually looked really good back then. Because it was like right after the major, basically.
No, you're right.
So it's actually, in their minds, they're probably thinking like, okay, so we have 3 good teams in Group A, SK, Astralis, Cloud9, and 3 good teams in Group B, FaZe, G2, and Fnatic, right? And then you have a bunch of mixed teams in between there. It just happens that Liquid's like, oh shit, this team is legit now. It just happened to be
No,
that
that's a
way.
good point.
So I don't actually
That's a
blame them
very
for
good
this.
point.
Because like you have to think, you always have to think about the timeline of when they see these things. That's how I think about it anyway. But yeah, I think that should do it. Do you have any other anything else you want to talk about?
No, not really.
Oh, I will say this. This is really funny. It has nothing to do with CS:GO or Dota 2. I wrote an article about Overwatch contenders. Did you hear about the minimum clause buyout?
I did not.
Basically, any team in contenders, any Overwatch League team is allowed to buy out any player at 25% of the Overwatch salary
Oh no, I did
at
hear
any
that.
time.
That's just bullshit.
And any Overwatch League team can have as many Overwatch League contender teams as they want, apparently.
I mean,
And
why would you ever?
and 5 of the 7 teams are owned by the same management group right now, contenders.
I mean, yeah.
That's like a
Why?
that's like a fucking fire waiting to happen.
If you're like why would you ever want to have a contender team if you're not already in the Overwatch League?
Yeah,
Like,
like there's no reason. I don't think there's much of a
yeah.
reason to. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason to. Honestly, it's absolute bullshit.
Yeah. I just thought it was like really funny. It's like, well, am I the
No,
only one
I
noticing
agree.
this? Like, what is going on?
No, I agree. No, actually, it might have been your tweet. I definitely read at least 1 or 2 tweets about it.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
Yeah, probably because like
no,
I told somebody else about like basically Koreans like this is complete bullshit. I was like, yeah, this is complete bullshit.
it is complete bullshit. It is actually complete bullshit.
Yeah, I'm with them on that. All right, so that should do it. You have any shout outs? Complexity, Texas.
Yeah. Shout out to Complexity. Not sure if I'm going to be in Texas anytime soon. Hopefully, anyway. Visa is taking absolutely forever. But shout out to the team. Shout out to the guys. It's been a lot of fun. We actually filmed a lot of shit during the ESL One event last week, so look out for that. It's going to be a very somewhat real look behind the scenes. I say somewhat because if you get eliminated early, there's not much to look behind, you know.
You ever
But
seen
in
that? You
general-
ever seen that Team Liquid documentary about League of Legends?
I have not.
You should definitely watch it. Actually, it actually makes complete sense without knowing anything about the game. It's called Breaking Point.
Oh, all right.
Like
Yeah.
like basically they show like the team literally breaking down in a way no other team's willing to do.
Look, I agree with that mentality. Like, if honestly, I mean, if you look towards professional sports, right, or traditional sports rather,
Yeah.
not calling esports not professional, but if you look towards traditional sports, you see a lot of like these very real looks behind, like, you know, like how teams like fall apart after like certain losses and stuff. For example, one of my favorite teams, or my favorite team rather, in football is in soccer is Bayern Munich, and there was this one final in 2000 which they lost really, or not 2000, in 1999, which they lost really tragically because they literally conceded 2 goals pretty much last minute,
Yeah.
and that's just like that just crushes you, like especially in a competition where you only have a final a year effectively, and that final is super difficult to reach because of like seeding and shit, you know.
Yeah.
That just broke the team, and they really fall apart. And there's like a good documentary about it. But in sports, I'm not sure if you would ever see that because, you know,
Yeah.
while we do try to be professional, players are still very young and they're still treated also in that sense. So
Yeah.
people try to take
Try to take care of their
try to be
feelings
their-
or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Try to be really cautious about that kind of stuff. But honestly, I think it would be very interesting to see.
No,
how a
this
team
one's
is
like
really pulled
this
apart.
one's like super raw. Like it's
Yeah.
very different from any other documentary I've seen because it's basically about them failing a lot.
Damn.
Even though they have like really good players, it's about them failing a lot. So it's actually a very good one to watch if you're interested. You should definitely watch that.
Yeah, I will. Thanks.
All right. All right.
But
I think
also watch Cold POV.
all right. Definitely watch Cold POV. Cold POV.
I might make an appearance even.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick.
Yep.
All right. That should be it for now. All right. See you guys later.